And welcome to a very special Halloween themed event. Tonight I have some of my favorite zombie authors with me. Hello guys, how are you?
Doing great.
Hi.
Hey.
So tonight we have Camille Pickett with us, who has over 20 books to her name. She's been writing since she figured out how to turn on her family's Apple computer and wrangle a floppy disk into the drive. She's also a recipe creator. Camille teaches people how to prep their pantry for the zombie apocalypse on Disaster Pantry, her family YouTube channel. Welcome, Camille. It's nice to have you tonight. Then we've got RJ Spears with us. He's a filmmaker, an award-winning writer who lives in Columbus, Ohio. He is the author of 15 novels, including the Books of the Dead series, which is 8 and counting. He is also the host of the Reanimated Dead podcast, where he interviews authors who write in the zombie genre. And then lastly, but by no means least, we have Sylvester Barzy with us. He's author of the Planet Dead zombie series that he created during his time in the US Army. He is a Z Nation fanboy and overall horror addict. When Sylvester's not trying to think of new ways to scare people, he's enjoying his time with his wife and son in Lawrenceville, Georgia, USA. Welcome, guys. It's so cool to have you here. And I'm Pixie Britton, author of the Kill or Cure series as well. So before we launch into the main panel discussion today, if you're watching this video, this is pre-recorded. So if you're watching via a Facebook live party, feel free to write any of the comments and we will do our best to answer your questions. So I'm just going to kick things off by getting you guys to talk about your amazing books. So Camille, let's start with you. Can you tell us about your books?
Yeah, I have 2 zombie series. The first is Undead Ultra. And in this series, we pit ultra runners against zombies. And for people that don't know what ultra runners are, they are crazy, extreme fringe athletes who love to run really, really long distances on foot. Their race is longer than a marathon, so we're talking 50 miles, 100 miles, 200 miles. So it's super fun to see how they stack up against zombies in this series. And then I have a new series I just released this month. It's called Zombiness Invasion. This takes place in the 80s during the Cold War in the United States. And instead of attacking with nuclear weapons, the Russians invade and deploy a zombie virus. This is super fun.
Sounds so cool. I mean, Camille, one of my favorite facts about you when we started connecting online was that you had actually done a marathon on a cruise ship. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, honestly, I can't even run around my local park, just to put that into perspective. And Camille's like, yeah, I just did it because, you know, whatever, I'm on holiday and it's like a trip or whatever. It's just...
It was really fun.
I love that about you. So thank you, that's amazing. RJ, tell us about your series.
Well, I have 3 series out. One of them's pretty much done. It was called Forget the Zombies, and it was written because my wife inspired me on a trip. We went to San Antonio and we went to visit the Alamo, and she goes, why don't you write a story about people trapped inside the Alamo surrounded by zombies? So that was my first zombie book. And then I have another series called The Books of the Dead, and it ran 7 books, but I'm starting another arc in that, and that features a 20-something slacker who finds himself during the apocalypse. And then I also, trying to create a world around that, have another series called Deadland Chronicles, which is all these characters that were in my main series. Suddenly they left the series geographically, so I decided to give them a life outside. And I'm working on the 4th book right now, which will be hopefully the end of that series. It's called Siege of the Dead.
Amazing. Wow, it sounds like you've been really busy. And on to you, Sylvester. Hello, welcome. Tell me about your series.
Hello, my series is called Planet Dead, and it's all about an ex-military mother whose family believes she was dead, so she's traveling to find her husband and her son. It's on book 3 right now, and I've built little world around it. So there's a whole bunch of short stories on like Wattpad and things like that. But yeah, it's on book 3 right now, and I'm currently writing book 4.
Amazing. That's awesome. And it's nice to see you're on Wattpad as well, although I haven't actually been on Wattpad myself for a while. I've kind of neglected that, but that's essentially where I started my career. So I think it's really cool that you're on there. And how's that working out for you on Wattpad? Is that going well?
Yeah, I'm trying to pick back up on it. So I stopped for a little bit just because I wasn't getting any traction. But now it's starting back up. I'm getting some readers. I've learned how to, I guess, integrate that fan base with my regular fan base, and I treat it more like a blog sometimes.
Awesome.
Like date chapters.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I'm just going to launch into some questions for you guys, and this one is actually for Randy, because I feel like either I heard you talk about it on Reanimated Writers, or we talked about it specifically, and I can't remember how this came about. But and I think this is really interesting. You were talking about the number of readers in the zombie genre, and whether there was like a ceiling or a maximum amount of zombie readers. So do you think the genre is very much alive, or is it kind of dead?
It's undead. It's mostly undead. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's my experience. I've interviewed a lot of authors on the Reanimated Writers podcast, and there's some that think it's still highly vital and has a lot of readers in it. I had one that was a longtime writer in it, and he was the one that brought it up to me, saying, "Well, I've left the genre because I can't get enough traction in it." And I do think that if you use all the proper tactics, Camille's using a lot of them: rapid release, consistent branding, good marketing, I think you can still get a lot of readers in the genre. But I do think, I'm not gonna call it a zero-sum game, but it's certainly not romance, and it's certainly not thrillers. So you are looking at a strata, a subset of a strata. You got post-apocalypse, and then you have zombies, and so you are limited, but I think you can still thrive within it.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think it's one of those things that's almost a little bit cyclical, and you have, it kind of comes in a fashion and goes out of fashion. And obviously we've seen that with The Walking Dead, which I'm going to come into later, because I feel like that is quite a hot topic amongst zombie authors. But I always think it's always coming in and out of fashion. So I feel like there's still some market there. It's just whether we can reach them right in this crowded market that we're trying to create in. So what do you think about that, Camille?
I think you can say that, but I also think that great stories can transcend genre. I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there that never would have picked up a young adult fantasy till J.K. Rowling came around, or a lot of people that wouldn't have picked up like a kinky sex book till 50 Shades of Grey came around. So I'm not saying I am one of those authors yet, but I don't think we should be locking ourselves in and thinking that there's a limited audience to our stories. Because I think if we write great stories, I think there's lots of readers out there for them.
Yeah, I agree. And what about you, Sylvester?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's different ways to build your own audience. I remember when I was at the Walking Dead convention, I ran into a lot of people who were Walking Dead fans, but they didn't necessarily read the comic book, or they didn't read any zombie books. So I believe if that still has such a large fan base, there's a way to transition those people into reading your books. You just need to figure out a way. And plus, the genre just has so many different aspects to it. Like with romance and stuff, there's books like Warm Bodies and stuff. I never thought anyone would write a romantic YA book for zombie people. So the fact that you just got to find a way to transition from where you're at, if you believe that you're at like the cap of your readers, and to just pull in more readers. I don't think there's a limited supply of readers.
Yeah, that's good to know as zombie authors.
I'm hoping there's not limited supply of readers.
So obviously we're living in a crazy dystopian world right now, and you know, one of the interesting things for us, I guess, living in this crazy COVID times, is that what I've noticed is that some people have become totally turned off by anything apocalyptic or dystopian or anything like that. But then, you know, certainly in the UK, I don't know what it was like for you guys at the beginning of any lockdowns that you had, but some of the trending films on Netflix were all pandemic films. You know, we had like the old school, like pandemic viral films were all trending on Netflix. So how do you think COVID has affected your sales and just generally the genre in general? RJ?
You know, the first movie I watched when it hit was Contagion. So I'm right up the alley. I love that movie. I actually watched it twice in like 2 weeks because it's, you know, I think, what was this, my, you know, educational, you know, material I'm watching right now? And, you know, but, you know, I think there might be some people that trend away from it. I think people that might just trend into it. I mean, they despite what's going on in the world, they'll read what they want to read. During World War II, you know, my wife always says there were tons of musicals out and they wanted to escape reality. And, you know, one of the things I've always said about the zombie genre, there is, I mean, not that it's, you know, lovey-dovey romance, but there's something romantic about it, because what you're doing is it's you against the world, it's survival. And I think, you know, some people actually might want to read it more because, you know, they want to get away from the reality of it and live in the, you know, the altered reality of it.
Yeah, I mean, you see all those memes, don't you, of like, this pandemic sucks, I wanted zombies. I think that kind of, I was like, yeah, you know, I think we've all been preparing for it as authors. So yeah, so I was very much in the same boat as you, Randy. I was, you know, consuming all of the pandemic films, just fascinated by it. But, you know, I know some of the bloggers that, you know, because obviously I released the third book in my series in February. So really just before everything went completely crazy, or certainly in the UK. And some of the bloggers that were YA bloggers were just like, no, I don't want to read your book right now because it's too much for me. So that's kind of what that's what inspired that question, I guess. But, you know, I think if you're like a hardcore zombie fan, then this is like the moment we've all been waiting for, you know. What about you, Camille? What do you think?
Honestly, my sales have never been better. And I guess I have a lot of maybe prepper in my reading group, because when this first hit, like, first thing I did was throw my kid in the car and we went to the store and like we stocked up. I had photos of her in a grocery cart, like mounded over with stuff. And this was before like the toilet paper riot started happening in the United States. And so I sent that picture out to my readers, and I had, the response was amazing. I had people sending me like all of their supply lists and all of their plans. Like, people were really into it and they were ready for this stuff. So
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that whole thing about the toilet paper was. It's absolutely mad. Like, I don't understand it to this day. It's just like, I'm so glad it wasn't just the UK then, that this was like a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a really funny meme and it said what I thought the apocalypse was going to be, and it says zombies and anarchy, and on the other side it says what the apocalypse really is, and it was no TP and working at home.
Accurate. Yeah. What about you, Sylvester? What do you think?
Yeah, it was crazy because I work at Walmart, so I watched the toilet paper and hand sanitizers and all that stuff disappear, and had to explain to people the truck's not coming. And then, but the funny thing to me was like all the toilet paper disappeared. And then like 2 to 3 weeks later, that's when people started buying food. And I was like, okay, I thought you would buy food first, but I guess not. So yeah. But for me, like at the beginning of the pandemic, after I was done with, was it Tiger King? Then I started watching some stuff. Like I think the first thing I dove into was Carriers, and then I watched The Crazies. And yeah, and my book sales, they've gone up, definitely have gone up. It's not at the same level as it was before. So I feel like there's people that want to escape in a safer way. It's kind of like with comic books when the wars were going on and stuff. You saw like Superman fighting Nazis and things. They want to still deal with the problem, but they want it in a nice package to escape it. So
yeah, cool. So yeah, I mean, Camille, you are obviously the ultimate prepper with your brand new YouTube channel, with prepping your amazing food ready for the apocalypse. So so I guess you feel very prepared for the for the whole of COVID. So talk to us a little about your prepping in your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so the Disaster Pantry is our YouTube channel that was born out of COVID, because all of a sudden I'm the mom that was booked out for 4 to 6 weeks in advance. So if you wanted a play date with my kid, like you had to get on the calendar, and suddenly COVID came, and like we were home, and we were just home. So it's like, okay, well, let's try this out. So I pitched the idea to my husband, and my daughter always wanted to be on YouTube. Kids are really into YouTube. Who knew? So now we are a YouTube family. And so every week we cook a dish using shelf-stable ingredients. And it's been a kick. Like we've made chili fries. Last week we did like a shepherd's pie knockoff. And it's really interesting to really dig into the different types of canned foods out there and get creative with it. We even found butter extract at the dollar store. So we use that in our mac and cheese, because you wouldn't have butter in the apocalypse, right?
Things you can get at a dollar store, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Who knew? That's amazing. I really love that. So moving on to The Walking Dead, like I feel like it's the big elephant in the room, and it's something that I often hotly debate about with my readers. So so how do you think The Walking Dead has affected the zombie genre as authors? Do you think that it is bringing in new readers? Because obviously The Walking Dead is one of the most successful TV series of all time. So how do you think that's affected the genre? And now as we're approaching the end and we're seeing a lot of people fatigued by the series, do you think that that's going to affect people coming over and being like, oh, not another zombie book or not another zombie series? What's your view on that? I'm going to ask Sylvester, because you're the zombie fanboy when it comes to TV.
yeah, I've loved The Walking Dead. It started when I joined the military. So my wife, she used to write me letters explaining each episode because we couldn't watch it in basic thing. So that was, yeah, I was addicted, and like everyone else, I kind of slowly faded off. I think I started fading off when they kind of killed Glenn the first time, but they didn't. Yeah. So that's what it happened to me. But I see that the fan base is kind of upset, but with The Walking Dead, it's weird because there's two fan bases. There's the ones that only watched the TV show, and then there's the ones that read the comic books. And the ones that were reading comic books, they were extremely happy all the way up until they ended the comic book and everybody was shocked. So I feel like the fan base is just at least the comic book fan base, I feel like they're still looking for something to continue with, something that's going to grab their attention. So I see those people, they go to reading books. And as far as the television fan base, I feel like they're jaded, but they're still willing to try anything. Like they're still watching this new one that came out, Walking Dead World Turns or World Beyond. So I feel like as much as they get on the internet and they hate Gimble and they hate whatever everyone's doing with the Walking Dead series, they still tune in to see the season premiere of Fear the Walking Dead. Or so they're angry, but they still love it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to love The Walking Dead, and until really it was the war that was never really quite a war, and then Negan became like this pantomime, like comedy villain that was just so bizarre, and it was just like literally the same stories were just being recycled over and over again. And then I was just like, a part of me was like, I want to keep watching because I've committed so much time to this series, and then the other part was like, you know what, life is too short. There's too many other good series out there. What do you think, RJ? Have you been watching it, or are you a fan? Are you not?
When it first came out, yeah, when you say that, I think it did explode the zombie experience into the zeitgeist of mainstream America. But I watched it from the very beginning. Was super excited. I didn't read the comic book. I actually went to my local comic book store and bought the first 2 compendiums and was so excited. You know, it's like, oh, great, a zombie series. And you know, if it weren't for George Romero, I wouldn't be excited about zombies anyway, but I was. And so I really liked it, but it was about season 6 it started to teeter for me. And I'm a cord cutter, so I buy the show per episode off Amazon, and I usually buy season pass. And I bought season 8, and because I asked my wife, do you want to continue watching this? Because you were sitting there like, hey, we're going to keep going. And she said, yeah. Well, I bought the season pass. And she goes, I don't want to watch this anymore. And I said, well, we bought the season. We might as well watch it. And I'm sorry. I mean, for all the Walking Dead fans that might come across this, I have nothing against you. It's just that I found the writing got really bad. I mean, there's a whole sequence when they attack the Negan's group, and they're all sitting there on this catwalk. And there's 20 people firing on them. And there were like 6 guys on that. Not one of those people are hit. I mean, they were worse than the stormtroopers in Star Wars. I mean, you know, it is the end of the empire. I mean, and I just like, there was one episode that I really took to task, and this one person was going on about it, and I just posted, here are 6 things that were so stupid about this episode that I want to tear what's left of my hair out. And I want it to be good. I mean, I really do. But I think, you know, when Sylvester said Gimble, that's when the show started. That when he became the showrunner, the show just went off a cliff. And sorry, Walking Dead fans, don't mean to crush you.
No, you're definitely right. I think he was just trying. I feel like in his mind, he wanted to separate the show from the comic book in drastic ways, and I just feel like a lot of his stuff didn't make sense. Like from day one, I never liked Carl. I always wanted Carl to die, and then when he died, I was just like, I don't think this was the right idea. I don't know.
Well, who do you miss most who died? For me,
Glenn.
I was like Dale. I was like Dale.
Oh yeah, I miss Glenn. I miss Glenn the most. I think there came a point in Glenn's whole story arc where he became like when he fell in love with Maggie and he was always for Maggie. I felt like they didn't utilize him as much as they used to, but I still miss Glenn.
Yeah, he was.
I don't miss Carl, but.
Yeah. What about you, Camille? Are you a fan of the series? Are you not a fan?
Oh, I was obsessed with it. That was like my weekly ritual with my husband. We'd watch The Walking Dead, and then they killed Glenn, and then they had this prolonged war that went on and on and on. And so my joke is I broke up with The Walking Dead when they killed Glenn.
Yeah, I think that was the case with a lot of viewers actually, and a lot of my readers that I've talked to about it, you know, over the years, and they've all just said I just completely lost it when they killed off Glenn. And you know, I'm not opposed to killing off characters. You know, I think that sometimes it serves a purpose and it, you know, increases the stakes and all of that, but it really got to the stage where it was just like, okay guys, we're getting to the end of the season, someone's got to die. So it was just like anyone, all of them, like anyone can die, just not in like a really cool kind of Game of Thrones way where it's like no one is safe, and you know, whoever you think the hero is going to be, well actually no, they're not. You know, it was just more of a like, we just need to cross people off the list. Like for example, Jesus, when Jesus died, and it was just like this massive non-event. It was so bizarre.
Yeah.
It killed him off, and then it was like, oh, no one cared, no, you know, whatever, over it. And then I was just like, if the characters don't care, how am I supposed to care? You know, so I think that's
Have any of you guys run into this in your books with your readers, killing off your characters and readers saying, I mean, I've literally gotten reviews because I think my mind got poisoned by The Walking Dead's, you know, dispatching characters. And I killed off over 2 books. I killed off probably 5 supporting characters, and at least 2 reviews said, I'm done. This series is too bleak. You've killed off everybody I like. Well, tell me another character you like. I'll take care of them in the next book.
No, I'm all for killing characters, you know, as long as it serves a purpose and it propels the story forwards. You know, I'm not for just, you know, killing for the sake of killing, but yeah, I'm all for it. I think it increases the stakes and makes it more dramatic, and I'm all about ripping people's hearts out as well. So what can I say?
Yeah.
Well, I've killed off 3 characters in this recent book, and it's the final book in this 4-part spinoff world. And I said, and this one guy I've liked for a long time, and you know, he just died, and then the other character died. I had three characters die in this book that I think everybody will want the one person to die, so I'll probably get fans for that.
Awesome.
When I was originally writing Planet Dead, my original intention was to like kill Catherine in the first book and then just base it all on Sue. But I decided against that, which was pretty good because I did get a lot of reviews that was just like, don't get attached to anyone because people keep dying. I was just like, they would have been mad if the main character died in book 1. So I decided, I think I made a good choice there.
She's safe for now, is what you're saying.
Yeah, she's safe for now.
Awesome. So my next question for you guys is why zombies, and would you consider writing in any other genre? That one's for Camille.
I have written in other genres, and I love anything that falls under the umbrella of science fiction and fantasy. I just found myself really magnetically drawn to the zombie genre, and I love it. So at the moment, I'm following my passion. So I plan to stick with it for a while. I've got quite a few other series in my brain, so I'll be with it for a while.
Amazing. How about you, RJ?
You know, my very first book was a 2-fisted private eye novel, and I gave it to beta readers, and you know, it was my first book, and I got beat up, and I licked my wounds with zombies. And you know,
Right.
I mean, again, as I said, I wouldn't be writing zombies if it weren't for George Romero and 1978 Dawn of the Dead. It was just something that entranced me about that whole scenario. Again, it's a romantic survival sort of thing, and so I actually do have a collaboration in the works that might happen to write a thriller, a detective thriller, and I'm going to try my hand at something else, but I have one more post-apocalyptic series in me after I finish my main one.
Amazing. How about you, Sylvester? Are you zombies forever, or are you thinking about straying into something else?
I'm actually writing another series. I mean, I write other things. Like me and my wife, we write this YA fantasy. So, and currently right now, I'm writing a post-apocalyptic novel, but it's got vampires and zombies in it, so I just combined them both. But I've always loved zombies, so I think I'm gonna stick with it most definitely. I like the aspect of the world falling apart because there are other post-apocalyptic books with like what EMPs and all this stuff, but I just don't believe the world would fall apart like that. But when you toss in creatures that are eating everybody and you can't really walk around safely, then I do believe that everything's going to shatter and you're going to see these different forms of groups or classisms and all this stuff. And I like exploring that in the zombie genre. So I just feel like the zombie genre gives me the best tools to tell those kind of stories.
Awesome. And what about you? Oh no, I think everyone's answered. Yeah, everyone's done that one. So what about films then? Because obviously, RJ, you were talking a little bit about George Romero. So are there any films that inspired you to write in this?
Well, it was Dawn of the Dead, but I'm a huge film. I went to film school, so I love movies, and I'll watch anything short of. I used to say I wouldn't watch westerns, and then I watched Clint Eastwood's The Forgiven. I said, "Oh, this is great," or Unforgiven. I love those, and I'll watch anything. I mean, my top zombie films are Dawn of the Dead, 28 Days Later, and Shaun of the Dead. So I'm always inspired by film, and so I think some people have said some of my stories sound very filmic.
Yeah, I recently watched Alive at the weekend. Have you guys seen that? It's the new Korean one, and honestly, I was just like watching it with my husband, just like this throughout the whole. Like, it's so intense. I was just like, I haven't watched a zombie film like that in ages, where I felt so drawn in, and then it just ignites that kind of sense of urgency and like, oh, I've got to write, it's really inspires me to just get onto my office and start writing again.
But did it make you, when you were watching, because we just watched it last weekend, I gotta have more weapons in my place, and were you telling the guy, get out of your apartment and get as much food as you possibly can, you only have one bowl of ramen, for gosh sakes?
Honestly, it was like the ongoing commentary throughout the whole film. It's like, oh no, I wouldn't do that. No. Like, I mean, what's he doing? He doesn't even like. Now he's just getting drunk. That's going to make him more dehydrated. Yeah. So we were very much having that kind of commentary. But then we all do, right? As zombie authors, that we all have our plans. What we would do or what we wouldn't do. So. How about you, Camille? Do you have any films that inspired you?
The most recent one that I am completely obsessed with, it's the Netflix series called The Kingdom, and it's another Korean zombie. It's not a movie though; it's a series, and it's kind of, I guess I would call it epic fantasy with the zombie apocalypse, and like the acting is amazing. And I'll tell you what, there is quite a few surprises, like quite a few things I didn't see coming. And I love it. I hope they do more seasons.
Yeah, no, I watched that as well, and it's just like the origins of the virus was so original. And
I love that.
Fumes and everything like that was just so, and terrifying as well. That bit, and I think it's season 1 where they're like running behind like the horse and cart, and they're just all pouring in behind them, and I'm just like screaming from my sofa, just terrified. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I did a lot of yelling at my TV too during that. It was great.
How about you, Sylvester?
Oh, well, I've been big on movies. When I was growing up, I watched way more movies than I read books. So as far as like zombie movies, my favorite one from Romero was Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead, just something that I could just watch on loop all the time. And then it was I love Train to Busan. I love I love Shaun of the Dead and Return of the Living Dead. I like a little comedy with a lot of my zombie movies. Some people hate that, but I like to laugh. So
yeah, I think you need a little bit of light relief, otherwise it can be really bleak. And like when I watched Alive last weekend, I was just like, oh, I need to watch something really nice now, just to like chill out before I go to bed. You
Yeah.
know? Something a little bit less tense. And I think obviously when you've got that comedy in there, that can bring that light really.
Yeah, just break it up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So what does 2021 look like for you guys? What plans have you got, RJ?
Well, I want to, like I said, finish up this one series, and then I have my main series, which is book 8, and I have book 9, ready to go, and book 10, and it might go 11 because I mean, I have been writing super long books, and they're just killing me in terms of not getting books out. I mean, the last 2 books I've written have been 150,000 words each,
Wow.
plus, and it's just, so that's really where I'd like to be, is to finish out that series. I want to give my readers a satisfying ending to the series, and it's all in my head. It's just, I mean, I like I said, I wrote this companion series, and I realized I can't start book 9 in my series until I finish this companion series, which is 4 books, because at the end of the book, the 4th book, I'll give a spoiler, the main, one of the main characters in the series gets a phone call. And if you think about, if you've read the main series, you know who's calling. But if you don't, you're going to be, it's going to, who could it be? But I couldn't move the series forward because it's the main character from the main series calling the main character from the other series.
Wow, I love
Okay.
that. That's really cool. That's really original. Amazing. What about you, Camille?
I am going to finish up the Zombiness Invasion series. I've got 4 books stacked in my head at the moment, so that'll be fun. And then sometime in 2021, I'm launching a program for writers to help writers write with intuition.
Yeah, amazing. That's so cool. And how about you, Sylvester?
Next year, I hope to, I'm actually, the current series that I'm working on now, I think I'm going to try and traditionally publish. So I'm going to try and shop it around next year. And also have Planet Dead 4. Like, I feel like in my head, I feel like Planet Dead is going to be done on the 6th book. So I got 3 more books in me. But I don't know. Yeah, things might change. But yeah, next year, the big thing is just shopping around and doing all the agents and pit wars and all that other stuff that those fancy people do.
Amazing. Good luck with that. That sounds really epic.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
So just before we go, guys, where can we find out about your books, RJ?
Well, I'm on Amazon, obviously. I have a Facebook, RJ Spears Writer, and my website, I let it lapse and someone stole the damn name from me. So it was rjspears.com. Now it is rj-spears.com.
Okay.
That's a lesson to all writers. No matter what, hold on to your damn domain name if you can, because someone will buy it and then they'll auction it off to you at an exorbitant price. I wasn't willing to pay it.
Oh no, yeah, don't do that. That's a good lesson there. How about you, Camille?
Oh, you can find me on my website, CamillePeacock.com, and I'm on Facebook. It's at Ultra Writer.
And you, Sylvester?
You can find me at my website, SylvesterBarzy.com, and I'm all on social media at Sylvester Barzy. Everything's just Sylvester Barzy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight, you guys. It's been so cool hanging out with you. And I know that we all chat, in our silos online. And it's been lovely seeing your faces today. And before we go, we have an amazing competition for you guys to win a copy of our books. So stick around and have a look at that. But thanks again, you guys, and have an amazing, happy Halloween. All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Pix.
Thanks. See you later.